Now we have the next level of how insane this gets. Confirmation from Axios. Google suspends Parler from App Store after deadly Capitol violence. This is not going to stop it. It's a simple APK download. Okay, Google takes it out of the Play Store and then they put it up on their website. So when you open your phone and you go to parler.com, eventually at some point, I assume it'll say download the APK. You'll click it. Boom, you got it. What does removing it from the Play Store do?
It slows things down significantly. I mean, we were suspended from Google Play and App Store for like 6 months. Yeah. So you go to minds.com/mobile and get the mobile app. Now you can get the APK or you can get us in the app stores. But like, that hurt us and it will hurt Parler. And and the thing is that it's become too polarized. It's like the left, Twitter, the left-wing social network, Parler, the right-wing social network. It's like we need from a high level at the companies to be having serious conversations, live streaming, and saying, how are we going to bring this community together? How are we going to deal with these people?
Or nationalize social media.
Or a globalized one that follows the U.S. Constitution that we create. I mean, it will be globalized. It can be anybody in the world can use it.
And it will follow the U.S. Constitution.
Yes.
I don't think they would ever.
An app we need, a website, social network that does it, and we need an ISP that follows the U.S. Constitution that's not a private company.
So let me read a little bit of this. They say, quote, in order to protect user safety on Google Play, our longstanding policies require that apps displaying user-generated content have moderation policies and enforcement that removes egregious content like posts that incite violence. Jose Castañeda, a Google spokesperson, said, in light of this ongoing and urgent public safety threat, we are suspending the app's listing from the Play Store until it addresses these issues. What does that mean? You're not allowed to incite violence on Parler. They'll ban you for it. No joke. In fact, Parler's got very strict rules. My understanding is that they operate on what's called like a broadcast standard, meaning you actually can't say certain things that are free speech. And that's the way they run their platform.
I mean, it's a Gab 2.0 situation. Basically, and the problem, free speech policies every network should have, but like the fact that there are privacy issues and transparency issues with Parler. I'm just gonna be upfront about that. Like their code is not open source. You can't see their algorithms. If you're listening, guys, open source your code. Like networks have to be open source, otherwise it's not viable in the long term.
I think I don't know if the Fediverse is the answer. We've talked about it before, but some kind of decentralized, federated social network. The way it would work, it's very simple. This is how the Fediverse works, is that you don't have to use Parler. You would use just, Fediverse apps, a regular old app you download, and then you sign into your server or their server or whatever server, and it connects all the different companies into one social media system.
Yeah, the Fediverse is great. It's the ActivityPub protocol, which Mastodon uses, which many sites are integrating. There's another one, Polaroma. We're working on ActivityPub integration. It's taken way too long for us to do it, but it's a great protocol. The problem with it, though, is that when you subscribe to someone on another node, the comment threads don't work.
Right.
It's just like so it's sort of messy. It's still good and it's a step in the right direction, but it's not truly decentralized social media because the admins can still ban the whole
node. They can cut off, like if there was a networked Gab connected to Minds, one platform could cut off the other platform.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the idea is preliminary, I suppose. But how do we get to the point where if I choose to follow the president for his updates, no one can take that away, ever?
I think they call it Internet 2.0. The Tron network was working on something like that.
Well, that's what we integrated with the permaweb, with the Arweave blockchain. Basically, you have the option when you post to the permaweb. Obviously, you don't want every post to be permanent, but the reality is that we're moving into a blockchain decentralized world, and that is a little bit scary. But
so Ethereum is going to skyrocket.
Ethereum.
Yeah, I just bought some.
32.
But you bring up a blockchain. I think what a lot of people need to realize is that a lot of these networks that use crypto, they're built off of the Ethereum cryptocurrency.
And there are some other amazing decentralized social networks, like Scuttlebutt is fully decentralized. It's sort of like techie and tough to use, but it is fully decentralized. So it's on your machine, everything.
Regarding the Arweave network, if you were to post something on the Arweave blockchain and then you owned that post and it was there forever, could it then generate crypto tokens for every view that it accrued?
That's not how their system works, but I mean, theoretically, you could build whatever you want.
I remember at Burning Man, some people started to do peer-to-peer Bluetooth communications.
I was on a cruise, and they told everyone when you come on to download this app. I forgot what it was called, but you turn on Bluetooth, and then this is the craziest thing. You could walk past one person, and all the data is being transmitted from like my app to their app, and then when they walk past another person, it bounces to like 5 more people, and then created this mesh internet. Yep. Where if I was standing 10 feet from you, you were 10 feet from me, and Ian was 10 feet from, Bob Smith, and then Bob Smith sent a message, it would relay through everyone to me.
Yeah,
that's
local
amazing.
networks. That's and that's really important for countries that don't have serious infrastructure.
Yeah. Well, also in the United Kingdom, when rock and roll was banned, what they started to do is literal pirate ships. They had ships that would broadcast rock and roll.
I saw that movie.
And
Pirate Radio.
Yeah, Pirate Radio.
Yeah.
There's whole movies about this. Censorship throughout history is something that is more common than uncommon. So we have to understand, this is going towards a trend that I don't want to be on.
Well, so here's what's going to happen. The left controls the cultural institutions. So a political coup, in my opinion, is totally meaningless. It is. What we're seeing right now is, actually, I'll step back. As they say, politics downstream from culture. By getting rid of all of the voices that can, propagate certain ideas, those ideas cease to exist. That's it. They're gone. They've been slowly and methodically removing certain ideas and certain people from these platforms.
And they've been doing it for a very long time. And I remember they were doing it to individuals that I didn't like. I didn't agree with. I didn't identify with. I was like, yeah, I don't like these guys too, but I don't think their voice should be censored. And I've been saying that consistently from the very beginning, but they used our own fears, our own emotions against us to justify it slowly and surely, and now we're here today.
I think the argument is it can't be stopped. Like, it is downstream from culture and the technology. So we need a technological revolution that will prevent anyone from being able to do that.
It is happening, but that's why it's crazy Bitcoin's hitting all-time highs today. I mean, that is the decentralized infrastructure for the new system.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Well, what does a Bitcoin get you in terms of that system, though? Like, Bitcoin can't do.
You can do things on top of Bitcoin as well. There are projects that are trying to build layer 2 solutions on top of different blockchains.
This is the thing. It's an encryption peer-to-peer technology, and it's something new, like the printing press. So when the printing press came out, everyone in the beginning was like, "Oh, this is nothing. This is an old machine. This is not going to do anything." But it revolutionized the way people gathered information. Bitcoin is revolutionizing the way people transact, and just like the internet, double-edged sword, could go either way. Could go towards a total Venezuelan, Russian cryptocurrency track, trace, and database system, or it could go towards a decentralization, liberty, sovereignty, freedom technology that helps people be individuals, helps people be secure, and most importantly, helps people be private.
Let me tell you about the radicalization of the left in this country. In 2016, I did an interview with Oliver Darcy when he was working at Business Insider. He's now at CNN on Reliable Sources. The interview was because I tweeted out defense of alt-right, white nationalists who were being removed from Twitter. Now, these people weren't saying, inciting violence. These were people who were posting nasty opinions I didn't like. These are people who don't like me at all because of because of my family's, regional heritage. I'll put it that way. And so Oliver Darcy asked me, like, what are your thoughts? And I said, it's a slippery slope. You start removing people because you don't like these ideas, then eventually they're banning the left. That was Oliver Darcy. Recently, so the past day or so, he advocated for cable providers to ban Fox News, OAN, and Newsmax because they spread lies. Talk about a dramatic change from where he was only 4 or so years ago when he was interviewing me because he thought it was newsworthy that I said we must have free speech, even for those we don't like. I am still standing here on the same hill saying we must have free speech for those we don't like, otherwise you create conflict. And he now has gone so far that not only is he advocating for the removal of entire cable channels, he's contacting AT&T and Verizon and Comcast and saying, will you remove them? You're responsible, etc.
You're allowed to spread lies in the United States. It's protected.
Again, that's still absolutely unhinged, dangerous behavior that corporations who want more power with little fleeing individuals coming to them saying, please take away all my rights, take away everything, take away the most important right of what my ears could listen to. Of course they're going to be like, yes, give it to me. I'll be your overlord daddy. Come on here. And again, we've seen this coming for a long time. One of the major criticisms against Donald Trump within the last few few years is that he's not making a stand against free speech. He's not making a stand against the First Amendment. Many of his critics...
What do you mean a stand against? Do you mean not standing up for?
Standing up for the First Amendment, standing up for free speech. And it's interesting to see Laura Loomer tweet this out today. She said, according to a Telegram post, at least Trump can still order a sandwich on Uber Eats, though.
For now.
I can't say the same, sadly. So again, this has been happening to a lot of his core supporters. Again,
and the interesting, Laura Loomer was beyond the canary in the coal mine. I mean, this was like someone yelling, "The coal mine is full of carbon monoxide. Get out now." And the Republicans weren't smart enough to push through legislation while they had the chance.
So did Loomer get taken off the Stripe or the SWIFT payment system? She got banned from the global payment system.
You love the SWIFT.
I've never heard anything about that.
SWIFT is like the global payment system.
Yes, I get it.
Visa.
But when did you ever hear anything like that?
No, why can't she use money? Who banned her?
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Laura Loomer can't
Uber
use...
Eats. She specifically
Uber banned her,
mentioned.
not PayPal.
You can't get banned from
not her
SWIFT
finance.
No, she was banned, I believe, from those platforms as well. But not SWIFT. That is nothing.
Are you sure you can't be put on a blacklist, a SWIFT
You
blacklist?
probably.
Maybe.
I mean, MasterCard reached out to Patreon over this guy.
Yes.
What was his name? Robert Spencer?
I think so, yeah.
They
Wrong Spencer.
What?
It was the wrong Spencer. It wasn't Richard Spencer.
No,
yeah,
Robert
Spencer.
Yes, and what do you mean the wrong Spencer? He was the person they were targeting on purpose. He writes about jihadis.
Oh, that's right.
He writes about radical Islam, and MasterCard got angry and said to Patreon, remove him, otherwise we'll cut off services to your system.
I think MasterCard was forced to do that by SWIFT. I could be wrong about that.
I mean, this is actually a historic day.
Yeah.
I think we actually have to zoom out and let it sink in for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the corporate takeover of... I mean, this proves corporations have more power than the government.
Then the sitting U.S.
Private
president.
corporations have just removed the speech of the sitting U.S. president.
Yep.
Michael Tracy has a comment here that I think is really timely. He says, quote, "Corporate left liberals are desperate for revenge. They will use all powers at their disposal, public and private, to neutralize their purported insurrectionist enemies. And they absolutely do not care one bit what civil liberties are destroyed in the process."
It's just,
That's what Michael Tracy
and
says right now.
it's being too divisive. I don't want to
He's
think
right.
of this as left and right.
But
it's
why-
defeating
It
this
is.
Yeah,
organism.
absolutely.
It is.
It's not, though. It's
Yes,
way
it
more
is.
than two sides. It's a bunch of people with a bunch of different ideas.
But it is very frustrating that Trump didn't facilitate a cross-spectrum conversation more directly. Like, he had the opportunity.
Yeah.
And it seems like he really did not bring the people...
Bill, you and I were in the White House at the social media event.
Yeah.
You're the CEO of a company he could be using, and someone said, will you just use another platform? He said, which one? Which one?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Donald Trump and Joe Biden and all the progressives, both sides, we have to constantly be disclaiming that we need both sides.
Yes.
There's no network without both
Would you
sides.
consider using Minds Tech for a government program that we could...
Yeah, they can use it. Hey, call me up, government. Yeah. I mean,
like
make
a
your
national
own. Yeah.
social networok with the Minds software that could integrate with the Minds node as a proof of concept.
Absolutely. I mean, the government just okayed banks running Bitcoin and Ethereum nodes, which is a very big deal.
What we're seeing, unfortunately, is tribalist divide. There's not just two factions. There's hundreds and probably thousands. But there are two overarching parent factions. Of these overarching parent factions, we just typically refer to them as left and right, but that means very little. For instance, how is it that Tim Pool, who's economically left and even socially left, is considered right-wing? Because I believe in freedom, free speech, liberty, principles, integrity, etc. That is not something that exists, for the most part, among the left. What the left believes in is, for one, what did we see from Cuomo on CNN during the riots? He said, who says protests have to be peaceful, right? And then Ramen guy comes out and says, it's right there in the First Amendment, Mr. Cuomo. You just got to look it up. Then you get Jake Tapper and CNN saying, oh, I can't believe what they're doing. When the riots happened, I said, those riots are bad. When the riots at the Capitol happened, I said, those riots are bad. There is principle. And I'm not saying everybody on the right has it. I'm saying it's not something typically of the left. It is a tendency.
I can't take the right and the left stuff, dude.
It's
The Chinese used the rightists. This was Mao's communist takeover was against the rightists. They focused on dividing people into these camps and then used them against each other.
But what you need to understand is the divide is a real thing, not made up by someone talking.
It's a many fractionalized divide of many millions of different concepts at once. And to just think that we're in different camps of of types is crazy.
No,
Are
true.
conservatives right now calling for the removal of their political opponents from major platforms?
That's not a conservative move. It's a very liberal move.
Exactly. And it's only coming from what we colloquially refer to as the right. There are some on the left, liberals and progressives, people like Glenn Greenwald, but now they call him alt-right. And Matt Taibbi and Michael Tracy.
But who does? I don't.
There are two tribes. You can call them tribes A and B, one or two.
Why two?
It doesn't matter.
Where are these two?
They are the overarching parents to numerous other tribes.
You have to use words, Ian.
Yeah, I will. And is it because there's Democrat and Republican, two power parties, so we say then there's left and there's right?
It's a reference to the French Revolution, to those who sat on the left and those who sat on the right.
Yes.
And those on the right were, moderates, and those on the left were radicals who wanted revolution.
I think it's so dangerous to get into that mindset.
Well, using
But this
more
is a
specific
real thing.
language is actually very
I'm not going to
important.
sit here and say the socialists, the anarchists, the communists, the tankies.
Every
just
time.
use
I'm
their
gonna list
names, man.
no.
Don't blame their group for what they did. If someone does something, they're responsible for that.
It is a tendency among all of the factions on both sides to hold certain ideals and principles. They don't completely agree with each other. The left fights with themselves all the time. On the right, you have people who are awful and white nationalists who would defend Donald Trump, and the left doesn't. But that is not the overwhelmingly the majority or even a large portion of what the right represents. In fact, the alt-right and the white nationalists actually agree with the left on a ton of left-wing policy issues. The point is, when it comes to the cultural debate, there are two parent factions. Fine, we won't say left and right, we'll say one and two. There you go.
You're not one or two, dude.
I know.
Yeah, but
Right.
There's more than one and two. What were you gonna say?
But pragmatically, Ian, you have to use words in order to have a conversation.
It's like saying,
But just really
are you
quick,
going to
there-
vote Republican or Democrat this time?
well, absolutely. You should be talking about all the options.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.